Welcome back. President Biden and President Putin having their face-to-face meeting in Geneva earlier this week. The two hitting topics ranging from human rights to cybersecurity. Let's assess the meeting now with former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Mark, it's great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining me. I so appreciate your time. What was your reaction to the meeting between Putin and Biden?
Well, Maria, what we saw was Joe Biden go abroad and actually give a wish list of what they want Russia not to do, and essentially got nothing in return. I can tell you, when you have to put forward a list from Joe Biden that says, you know, pretty please don't attack U.S. interest, and if you do, well, we will actually not do anything about it. I mean, I think what you saw was real weakness on the international stage, and a big difference between when Donald Trump went over there and met with these same leaders, whether it is privately meeting with Vladimir Putin or on the phone. I was in the office many times where not only was it a firm hand, but it was a very resolved response that you got from President Trump, and yet we saw exactly the opposite. It was a sad day on the international front, but we can be assured that the leftist media and many on the left will praise it and fawn all over it. But you know, it was just really a sad day when we went on an apology tour abroad.
Well, I mean, it's not just that, but he tried to take a swipe on President Trump and the Trump administration as well while he was at the podium there on foreign land. But I think what you mentioned was really most important, and that is giving away the list of most important infrastructure points in America, as if Vladimir Putin is going to listen and say, oh, okay, we don't want to mess with their electrical grid. No, we don't want to go near their nuclear facilities. Let's not hack that. I mean, what was the point of that?
Well, the point of that is to send a message back to the United States that was really not anything that was conveyed in private. Is to say that we have this small list, a list of 16 different things, that please don't touch those, but apparently everything else is on the table. You know, that's not the kind of message you sent. You've got to send a very strong message that U.S. interests are not to be messed with, and quite frankly, it sends a message that we're going to roll over and have an appeasement kind of attitude. I hope that the Russian government doesn't believe that the president speaks on behalf of all Americans, because it's not something that we'll tolerate.
Well, let me just ask you about your efforts to push back on this radical agenda out of the Biden administration. Stephen Miller launched the America First legal organization in the spring of 2021 with a clear objective to stop the constant onslaught from the radical left in Washington through the courts. You did succeed, your first major win in this blitz to stall the agenda. Talk about that. You're on the board of AFL, right? What can you tell us in terms of your efforts to stop this agenda, Mark?
Well, Maria, it is a great job on behalf of Stephen Miller and the people at American First Legal. I do have the honor of serving on the board. But here's the important thing. When we see the types of progressive leftist agenda coming out, whether it's at the border, Maria, or whether it is on other federal programs that actually have a progressive nexus, it needs to be pushed back. You know, we see coming out of the White House in the first 6 months is a number of agenda items that actually are not supported by Congress and are not supported by the vast majority of the American people. And so what Stephen Miller's done is filed a number of lawsuits. We have had, as you mentioned, a couple of wins, particularly in Texas, working with Attorney General Paxton there. And when you see these wins, what it is it's all about fairness. It's saying that what we need to do is if there's a federal program, that everyone should qualify for that. You shouldn't put some special parameter on that. And so when we look at having a racial component to qualification, Stephen Miller's been able to file lawsuits and has had great success. We've had two good wins. I think that you'll see more and more activity. In fact, I know you will, as Stephen and his group continues to hold the Biden administration accountable.
Mark, I want to ask you about economic policy. As we are talking, the market is selling off right now, Mark. The Dow Industrials right now at the lows of the morning. Let me just show our audience the boards here. The Dow Industrials right now down 250 points. The NASDAQ is down 63 and the S&P 500 down 25. Largely a reaction to Federal Reserve commentary that we are going to see the end of these rock bottom rates at some point in the next couple of years, and inflation is higher than expected. Your thoughts on the impact of this massive spending and proposals of higher taxes. Now, I've reported in the last several weeks that Joe Biden does not have the support of the Democrat Party. He will not be able to get 50 votes in the Senate to push this plan through reconciliation. But now you've got Bernie Sanders talking about another $6 trillion spending plan. You've got Biden hoping to raise taxes in the biggest tax increases we've seen in a generation. Again, we don't know if this will go through, but I'm wondering if the market is reacting to an inflationary story that continues to be somewhat self-inflicted, Mark.
Well, what we're seeing is the market indeed is reacting to that. I can tell you that some of your analysis over the past several weeks, Maria, has been spot on. I can, I'm a few blocks from the Capitol. You're going to have Jim Jordan on, who's doing an outstanding job in holding big tech accountable. And actually, he's been a leader on this when no one else was willing to address it. But I can tell you, when it comes to the $6 trillion, when it comes to tax increases, when it comes to additional federal spending, it is a extremely high hurdle. And so if the market's reacting to that, I don't think that they're reacting to something that's actually going to take place and go through. Now, I'm not saying that Joe Biden and a lot of his progressive Democrats will start to beat the drum and suggest that we need that. But I can tell you there's not an appetite on Capitol Hill. I don't see the votes being there. And ultimately, we've got to get inflation in check. I think we will.
Yeah, market at the lows of the morning right now, Mark. We are now looking at a decline of 315 points on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Mark, it's good to have you this morning. Thanks very much. We'll be watching all of the developments on this agenda and your pushback, among others. Mark Meadows joining us this morning. We'll be right back with more coverage of this market.